Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranamayappa, Om Shakti, Parashakti. Welcome to Attenville TV, everybody. Good evening to everybody out there. It is, well, it's a cold Tuesday. As you can see, I redesigned my attire, my Indian wear, which they made Indian outfits for winter. Alright, if this is your first time joining the show, welcome to the Journey Show. This is the show about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera, Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details that you'll find at the bottom right of your screen, or you could use the bottom column right there where it says live chat. If you do not see that block that says live chat, that means you haven't subscribed to our channel. So if you haven't, do it now. Click subscribe and then like it. Alright, as you know, this is episode 4 of the Origins of Kali Amma. So yeah, well, it's going to be a full jam-packed show full of culture and learning about Hinduism. Well, stick around as I'm going to be here all the way up until 8 o'clock. And don't forget, your opinion matters. This show is not only about me educating you, but I would also like to hear from the public about your beliefs, your thoughts, and we can have a bit of a discussion. Remember, this is not a platform for fighting or who's right and who's wrong about the Hindu culture. It's about educating others and educating one another. Maybe I could learn something new from you. And nobody knows everything, which is an actual fact of life in every aspect or in every category or in anything in life. Not everybody knows everything about life. Now, talking about Hinduism as a whole, I'd like for you to guys to just give a shout out to Dashni Manikam Shame. This child has the flu. She's my co-host on the show, so I hope she gets well soon. I hope she's watching the show, and you can interact with us from home if you are watching, Shem. Alright, so as we're going to carry on with the show called Origins of Kali Amma, episode 4, we're going to do this straight after this commercial break. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranamayappa, Om Shakti, Parashakti. Welcome back, everybody. Now, for those of you that just joined us, hi, we are live on Attenville TV, streaming in Lanesia South, and this is the Journey Show, and it's about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details right there, or you can use the bottom column right there, where it says live chat. Alright, so carrying on with the show that was yesterday, that was part 3. Now this is episode 4, part 4. And yesterday we ended off the show, before Vedic astrology now, we ended off the show in the Maha-Nirvana Tantra. Remember what I was teaching you guys about. Now we're in that part of it. Now if you missed part 1, 2 and 3, there's no use watching this show. Go back and track part 1, 2 and 3, then everything will tie up and make sense. Obviously it's like taking a book and starting to read from chapter 4, right? Cool. Alright, so we finished up yesterday's show in the Maha-Nirvana Tantra, where Kali is one of the epithets of the primordial Sakti, and in one passage Shiva actually praised her. Do you guys remember that? If you don't, it was about the dissolution of things and what Kala actually meant. Yeah, ring a bell. All right, so moving on from that, let's talk about the figure of Kali. And as I asked the director to put it up on the screen, you can take it away when we're closing this segment. But let's put Kali Amma up on the screen. And now we're talking about the figure of Kali. Now, the figure of Kali conveys death, as we mentioned before, destruction, as we mentioned before, and the consuming of aspects of reality, which we've mentioned before. Remember, this is just now a summary of what you've missed. Now, as such, she is also a forbidden thing. Now, they can say it's like a forbidden thing, or you can call it even death itself, right? Now, if you listen to the show before, if you watch yesterday's show, this will make sense right now. Now, in the Pankatava, it's called actually the Pankatav Tattva. Now, this is actually a ritual, guys. This is the Sadaka boldly seeks to, this is something that the Sadaka actually boldly seek to confront Kali. And thereby it assimilates and transforms her into a vehicle of salvation. Now, this is clear in the work of the Karpurari Stotra. And it's a short phrase, or praise rather, of Kali, describing the Pankata Tattva ritual unto her, performed on cremation grounds. Now, looking at the Samahana Sadhana, it goes like this. He, O Mahakali, who in the cremation ground, who wears skull garland and skirt of bones, and with disheveled hair, intently meditates upon thee, and recites thy mantra, and with each recitation makes offering to thee of 1,000 akanda flowers with seed, becomes without any effort a lord of the earth. O Kali, whoever on Tuesday at midnight, having uttered thy mantra, makes offering even but once with devotion to thee of a hair of his Shakti, his energy, female, well, a female companion. Now, in the cremation ground becomes a great poet, a lord of the earth, and ever goes mounted upon an elephant. Now, the Karpuradi Stotra actually dated approximately back to the 10th century ACE, clearly indicates that Kali is more than a terrible, vicious slayer of demons who serves Durga or Shiva. All right. Now, here she is actually identified as the supreme mother of the universe, associated with the 5 elements, right? And in union with Lord Shiva. So she creates and destroys worlds. Put it like that. Now, her appearance also takes a different turn, right? This is benefiting her role as a ruler of the world and object of meditation. Now, in contrast to her terrible aspects, she takes on hints of a morning burning, like a morning burning dimension. And she is described as a young and beautiful, has a gentle smile, okay, and makes gestures with her 2 right hands to dispel any fear and offer boons. The more positive features exposed offer the distillation of divine wrath into a goddess of salvation, who rids of Sadaka of fear. Here, Kali actually appears as a symbol of triumph over death. Some interesting things about Mahakali this evening in the origins of Kali Amma in our episode 4. Please stay tuned. But to keep this show a little bit vibey and a little bit upbeat, we're going to cut over to Deshan Styler Naidu all the way in Durban, Chatsworth to be exact. And this evening he's going to perform for us Uchi Palayar. Check him out.
பிள்ளையார் கோவில் கொண்டையிடும் திருச்சி மலையினிலே நம் அச்சம் நீங்கவும் ஆனந்த அச்சம் நீங்கவும் ஆனந்தம் பெருகவும் அமர்ந்தார் மனதினிலே. உச்சி பிள்ளையார் கோவில் கொண்டையிடும் திருச்சி மலையினிலே. நம் அச்சம் நீங்கவும் ஆனந்தம் பெருகவும் அமர்ந்தார் மனதினிலே. அமர்ந்தார் மனதினிலே. அமர்ந்தார் மனதினிலே.
Deshan Styler Naidu, all the way from Durban, Chatsworth, baby. Ooh, round of applause, guys. Please support your local artists and please support Deshan Styler Naidu as he's one of us. He does his seva through his talents. He teaches music for free. He does so much for free. I think you guys should check him out on Facebook, Deshan Styler Naidu. You might become a styler. That's what he calls his fans, all the stylers. Alright, so Deshan Styler Naidu was performing Uchi Pelayar right here on Attenville TV. Support your local artists, man. We've got good talent in this country. They're just hidden. Now, if you feel you've got talent and you want to be on the show and you can sing like a bird, drop us a WhatsApp on 074-660-5829. The number will be found on the bottom right of your screen throughout the entire show. Or you could just be open about it and drop us a message right there at the bottom column where it says live chat. Alright, so before we cut to Deshan Styler, we were talking about Kali Amma, and this is actually episode 4, part 4 of the origins of Kali Amma. But before I move on to the Bengali traditions, we're going to talk about our quote for today. Put it up for me, director. Alright, so the quote for today is, "Forgiveness unlocks the door to true freedom." That was our quote for today on Exploring Hinduism and the Journey show, guys. So as we go back to it, we decided we're going to talk about the Bengali tradition. Now, for those of you who just joined us, I'd like to say a very good evening to Darshini Manikan coming in on YouTube. Good evening, honey. Vanakkam, namaste, namaskaram, Sairam, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, stick around as we're going to move along with the show of, part 4, chapter 4, episode 4, whatever you want to call it. And if you are watching this for the first time, please like, share and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. And if you really want to know about our Kali Amma, in a more learned manner, please start from part 1 and then come to this chapter, this episode again. So I told you guys we're gonna move on to the Bengali tradition, but before we do, don't go anywhere, stick around. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
You can do anything. All you need is determination and a fresh pair of these nallies. But what's the point of looking like Injay game if all your money is on your feet and your dreams go up in flames? In this world of doing it for Ikram, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Vanakkam, namaste, namaskaram, Sairam, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam. Om Shakti, Parashakti. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are currently streaming live with us right here on Attenville TV. This is the Journey Show, the show about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera, Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please use the bottom column there where it says live chat. Or if you watch this, when we're not live, there's the contact details right there at the bottom right of your screen. Please excuse my face. I would love for you to interact with me live. Yes, I'm like a spoiled brat. Alright, let's get back to it as we are talking about the origins of Kali Amma. This is part 4. Now, moving on to the Bengali tradition. Now, we were talking about different ways of doing things in our culture in different countries. So let's move along with the Bengali tradition, right? Now, if you look at it, Kali is a central figure in late medieval Bengal devotional literature. And with such notable devotee poets as the Kama Lakanta Bhattacharya, please excuse my pronunciation if it was incorrect, but this was in 1769 all the way up until 1821, the years. Now, the Ramprasad Sen was from 1718 all the way till 1775. Now, with the exception of being associated with Parvati as Shiva's consort, Kali is rarely pictured in Hindu legends and iconography as a motherly figure, right? And until Bengali devotions beginning in the early 18th century, even in Bengali tradition, her appearance and habits change a little bit. Now, I'm not sure if this is actually true, but from what I've researched and from all the gurus that have helped me put the show together, including Andy Poon, I'd like to give him thanks, who's behind the camera. If you do want to interact with me in studio today and share your thoughts and your beliefs and just correct me here and there, you're most welcome to. Now, we're going to move on to the tantric approach to Kali. Now, this is to display courage by confronting her on cremation grounds in the people would say in the dead of night. And despite her terrible appearance, most people might say, in contrast, the Bengali devotee adopts the attitude of a child. And coming to love her, unreservedly, in both cases, the goal of the devotee is to become reconciled with death and to learn acceptance of the way that things actually are. Now, these themes are addressed in Ram Prasad's work. Now, Ram Prasad comments in many of his other songs that Kali is indifferent to his well-being, causes him to suffer, brings his worldly desires to nothing, and his worldly goods to ruin. He also states that she does not behave like a mother should, and she just ignores his pleas. Interesting, eh? Interact with us in studio today. We want to know your take. And what's your take on Kali Amma? And do you actually agree with the Bengali beliefs and the Bengali traditions? A lot of people have different ways and different means and different rituals, but it does still fall under Hinduism. Just some people have different ways of displaying their bhakti. All right. So reading the scripture or a little bit of Ram Prasad's work, it says here, can mercy be found in the heart of her who was born of the stone? A reference to Kali as the daughter of the Himalaya. Were she not merciless, would she kick the breast of her Lord? Men call you merciful, but there is no trace of mercy in you, mother. You have cut off the heads of the children of others, and these you wear as a garland around your neck. It matters not how much I call you mother, mother. You hear me, but you will not listen. Now, to be a child of Kali, Ram Prasad asserts, he asserts is to be denied of earthly delights and pleasures. So please don't take anything I said in the incorrect manner. Listen to what Ram Prasad is saying. He says, to be a child of Kali, Ram Prasad asserts is to be denied of earthly delights and pleasures. I hope it made sense now. And Kali is said to refrain from giving that which is expected. So to the devotee, it is perhaps her very refusal to do so that enables her devotees to reflect on dimensions of themselves and of reality that go beyond this material world. Now, a significant portion of Bengali devotional music features Kali as its central theme and is also known as Shmaya Sangeet. It means in English, music of the night. Now, mostly sung by male vocalists, all right? And today, women have taken this form of music. They have taken to it, so I'm actually one of them. So Kali is especially venerated in the festival of Kali Puja in the eastern India, celebrated when the new moon day of Ashwin Moth coincides with the festival of Diwali. Now, the practice of animal sacrifice is still practiced during Kali Puja in Bengal, Orissa, and Assam, and though it is rare outside of those areas. Now, the Hindu temples where this takes place involves the ritual slaying of goats, chickens, and sometimes male water buffaloes. I'm very familiar with the chickens and the goats. I've recently been to one. So I'm not too sure about the buffaloes though. This is in Bengal, by the way, guys. Bengali, sorry. So now this is throughout India now. The practice is becoming less common though. I'm not too sure how this works around the world, but a little birdie sat on my shoulder and told me that you should only do a certain amount of years giving Gao to Kali Amma. So interact with us in studio today if you know the correct amount of years or if you know the correct answer, and yeah, we can share it with the public and myself. All right, so the rituals in Eastern Indian temples where animals are killed generally led by Brahmin priests. Okay, and a number of tantric Puranas specify a ritual they specify a ritual for how the animal should actually be killed. It's not something to hurt an animal. For those of you who are not Hindu and don't understand the culture, a Brahmin priest will actually recite a mantra. For those of you who don't know, a Brahmin priest will recite a mantra in the ear of the animal to be sacrificed. So now when the Brahmin or the priest rather says this mantra in the ear of the animal, he does this in order to free the animal from the cycle of life and death. And groups such as People for Animals continue to protest animal sacrifice based on court rulings forbidding the practice in some locations. But now that you understand the culture, maybe you'll actually think twice about it. Keeping the show a little bit exciting this evening, let's move along I wanted to actually jump to a song, but if you guys want to interact with us, you want to share your thoughts before I get towards it's halfway through the show. We are talking about Mother Kali. Couple of messages are coming through. I wasn't allowed to put them on air. Some guys, remember, this is a show, a family show. It's for kids as well. So please watch your vulgarity. Some messages have to be blocked. So please behave yourself. Thank you. All right, Dashni, Marikam, if you're still there, interact with us in studio today. I'd like to hear from you. Okay, let's go. We spoke about the practice, right, with Kali, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, these people are satanic. They do sacrificing with animals, and in some people's minds it's disgusting because they don't understand it. Now, I've explained the entire ritual to you in the easiest way that I could. I hope it made sense. Now, let's move on to the Tantric Buddhism. A lot of people say Buddhism and Hinduism is quite close. The answer is yes, that's correct. Now, the Tantric Kali cults, right, such as the Kola and the Krama, had a strong influence on the Tantric Buddhism. Now, as can be seen in the fierce-looking yoginis and daginis, such as the Vajrayogini and some of you know it, the Krodikali, they call themselves. Right, so in Tibet, Krodikali, also known as Alt Krodikali, or Kalika, or Krodeshvari, or Krishna Bodhini, is also known as Trauma Nagmo. Okay, it's actually classical Tibetan. Okay, and now if you look at a word called Wiley, they actually pronounce it as Kroma Nagmo. In English, they say the Black Wrathful Lady. That's what they call it. So she features as a key deity in the practice tradition of Chod founded by the Maching Labdron, and is seen as a fierce form of the Vajrayogini. Now, other similar fierce deities include the dark blue Agratara and the lion-faced Simhamukha. Now, just remember, when it comes to Buddhism and their language, it's also a bit of a tongue twister. Again, please forgive me for the bad pronunciation or mispronunciation of certain words. Interact with us in studio today as we are talking about Kali Amma, and this is episode 4, part 4 on the Journey Show. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
The ultimate accessory, the latest shiny thing, mesmerized, trying to keep up but never getting ahead in an endless cycle of spending. In this world of constant upgrades, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranamayappa, Om Shakti, Parashakti. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are currently watching Attenville TV, and this is the Journey Show. It's about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please do so in the bottom column where it says live chat. If you don't see that column, subscribe. All right, before the show gets a little bit boring, let's get your vibes up this evening. If you don't mind. Okay, no. This is an Indian show. It's a cultural show. Well, not an Indian show, rather. It's a Hindu show. Let me not talk about race. Okay, so let's get your... Yeah, let's turn the light bulbs a little bit. Okay. Coming up this evening, we got a lovely gentleman, handsome gentleman named Siandam Shlaba, all the way from Durban. Coming a bit later, all in the show. Yeah, we're going to end off with... You know what? Can I keep Siandam for the end of the show? Let's do that. Okay, let's keep Siandam for the end of the show because it's going to be a bit of a shocker for those of you who don't know him. Now, let's stick with the Durbanites this evening. I would like to give a shout out to all the Durbanites out there. I was born in Pietermaritzburg, so I'm proud to say so. All right, let's give a shout out to Praveen Mudley, all the way from Phoenix. Ladies and gentlemen, Praveen Mudley performing a medley for us tonight and keeping the vibes up. Here we go.
सियावर रामचंद्र की पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय बोलो हनुमान की श्री महाबजरंगबली की राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम जय हनुमान जय हनुमान जय हनुमान बोलो जय हनुमान अंजाल तनया ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा अंजाल तनया ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा अंजाल तनया ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा अंजाल तनया ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा श्री हनुमंता ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा श्री रामचंद्र ओरे नपे हनुमंतोड़ा ओरे नपे ఎకరే రామాచల్ కా అంజనేయ వీపోదో హనుమంతోడా ఏ హనుమంతోడా అంజనేయ బలమంతో హనుమంతోడా ఓ రామ ఓ రామ రామ అంజనేయ వీపోదో హనుమంతోడా హనుమంతోడా అంజనేయ బలమంతో హనుమంతోడా ఓ రామ ఓ రామ శ్రీరామ్ జయ రామ్ జయ జయ 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 రామ ఓ శ్రీరామ్ జయ రామ్ జయ జయ రామ శ్రీరామ్ జయ రామ్ జయ జయ రామ శ్రీరామ్ జయ రామ్ జయ జయ రామ రామ అంజనేయ వీపోదో హనుమంతోడా హే హనుమంతోడా అంజనేయ బలమంతో హనుమంతోడా ఓ రామ ఓ రామ 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 రాఘవా 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 సీతారామ సీతారామ రామ రాఘవా ఓ సీతారామ సీతారామ రామ రాఘవా ఓ రామ 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 రాఘవా ఓ రామ 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 రాఘవా ఓ రామ 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 రాఘవా హరే రామ వైకుంఠవాస ఆమె వనవాస దామోదర శ్రీ సీతా తల్లి శ్రీ అవతార వైకుంఠవాస రీచ్ మాతి అపనా హరిలో రంగా హరి హరిలో రంగా హరి
Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Rama. That was Praveen Mudley getting me all up into the whole devotional music right here on Atonville TV. That was a beautiful, beautiful track by Praveen Mudley himself. Praveen Mudley is all the way in Phoenix, guys, in Durban. So shout out to the Durbanites this evening, rocking our show on Atonville TV. This is getting awesome, you know. I told you guys we're going to keep it vibey. We're not going to keep this boring like general culture shows. Unfortunately, when you come to education, when it comes to educational shows, it becomes a bit boring. So with the entertainment that we have with our local talents, I think this is going to be a jam-packed show throughout, well, till I die. All right, welcome back everybody. For those of you just joined us, you are a little late, but you can click on the link again and watch the show later, as we do go live every single weekday, Monday through to Friday, from 7 p.m. all the way up until 8. Now, as we were talking about the different things and types, well, let's rather call it the origins of Kali Amma, and this is part 4 for those of you who just joined. Now, let's go to the worship in the Western world, right? Let's touch on that one. Dashni Manikam, if you're still there, honey, you're welcome to join the conversation. Now, if you look at the worship in the Western world, right? Now, this is now theory. Okay, I'm not giving you facts. Okay, so it's theorized it's called theorized early worship. Let's call it that. Now, a form of Kali worship may have already transmitted to the West already in medieval times by the wandering Romani, right? Now, a few authors have drawn parallels between Kali worship and the ceremonies of the annual pilgrimage in the honor of Saint Sara. It's also known as the Sarala Kali. In English, it's called Sarah the Black. Okay? In Romani, it's also Sera e Kali, held at Saint Mary's in Delamere, they call it. And it's a place of pilgrimage for the Roma in the Camargue in southern France. So please forgive me for mispronunciation, as I'm not French, right? So this was actually said or sent to us by a gentleman named Ronald Lee. This is what he states. This is in France now, ladies and gentlemen, not my personal belief. Okay. Ronald Lee states, if we compare the ceremonies with those performed in France at the shrine of Santa Sara, actually called the Sara e Kali in Romani, we become aware that the worship of Kali, Durga, or even Sara has been transferred to a Christian figure in France and to a non-existent center. Now, it's also called Sara. So now instead of saying Kali, people in France are actually saying Sara. And this Sara, who is actually part of the Kali and the Durga worship among certain groups in India, which is quite shocking because I never knew this. Thank you so much to Ronald Lee for sharing this piece of information live here on Actonville TV. Thanks for the email, it's beautiful. Now let's move along to the modern times. Now we just spoke about the Western times. Let's look at the modern times. I notice a lot of people are doing shortcut prayers. Sorry about that. I had to laugh. I noticed the things I learned and were taught, and you go to a certain, like, you know, you get your 16-day or your 1-year prayer, you know, after somebody passes, and you notice that the prayers are a little shorter than normal, and you're like, And look at the guru, and you're afraid to argue with the man. No, he believes because he studied, he knows better than you, like, you know. But I've come to notice that things have changed with the times. It's quite sad because there are reasons for each precise movement, ritual, the reason for a certain ingredient in anything with Hinduism. It has a meaning. There's no way you can actually shorten it. So imagine now if I take my pen and I tell you, we're doing a prayer for you to go home now, but we're gonna remove the manja from the prayer. What would you tell me? Get what I mean? You know the significance of each ingredient in Hinduism. But if you don't, we're gonna get to it. One of the days we're gonna put together a bit of a show with just each ingredient that is regularly used in Hinduism and the significance of each ingredient. That'll be a fun show, yeah? Alright, so let's go to the modern times. Shortcuts. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about the modern times, right? Now, an academic study of the modern day. Let's talk about this now. In modern times, an academic study of modern day Western Kali enthusiasts noted that, as shown in the histories of all across cultural religious transplants, Kali's devotionalism in the West must take on its own indigenous forms if it is to adapt to its new environment. What's your take on that? Because, okay, my mom tells me I must learn to keep quiet. You know, sometimes there's boundaries. You can think it, but don't say it out loud. All right. So if you look at an article that Rachel Fell McDermott, if you Google her, right, she's actually a professor, and she has sent us this information. Now she says that she's actually a professor of the Asian and Middle Eastern cultures at the Columbia University. So shout out to her for helping us as well. She's also the author of several books that she has written on Kali. All right, and she has noted that the evolving views in the West regarding Kali and her worship in 1998. McDermott actually wrote this, so thank you so much for this, Mr. Mott. She says, a variety of writers and thinkers have found Kali an exciting figure for reflection and exploration, notably feminists and participants in New Age spirituality who are attracted to goddess worship. Now for them, Kali is a symbol of wholeness and healing, associated especially with the repressed female power and sexuality. However, such interpretations often exhibit confusion, yes, misrepresentation, yes, stemming from a lack of knowledge of Hindu history. Boom, right there. Director, please put Kali Amma back on the screen. Looking at the confusion and the misrepresentation and the stemming of lack of knowledge if a normal, I wouldn't say a normal person, sorry, we are all normal people, my bad. Okay, if you look at the average human being that has no knowledge of Hinduism and you look at a picture of Dawa, you get a fright. I mean, look at a garland. It's a whole bunch of heads on a neck and a sword in a hand with blood on it. And if you look at that picture, immediately what comes to mind is that she's demonic or she's killing people because she's standing over Lord Shiva. And if you don't know who's laying on the floor and who's her foot touching, you'd be freaked out. You'd be like, oh my God, this creature is murdering people. You know what I mean? So there is confusion with Hinduism, yes, and there's misinterpretations stemming from the lack of knowledge of Hindu history. So among all of these authors, she came to the table and decided to help us. So she says she drew upon materials written by scholars of the Hindu religious traditions, and she says it is hard to import the worship of a goddess from another culture. She finds it difficult. So she says religious associations and connotations have to be learned. That is what we're doing with the show. We're trying to teach people about the culture. She says religious associations and connotations have to be learned, imagined, or intuited when the deep symbolic meanings embedded in the native culture are not even available. Now you see, thank you so much, Doctor, or should I say Professor. Thank you so much, Professor, for helping us with that part of the show. This is actually very, very important to share with you viewers. Listen, a lot of people have a misconception of the next culture because when you were raised, I'm sorry to insult the elderly, but you have actually taught your kids to shun against the next culture. I'm not going to name what type of people because that would be ugly and that wouldn't be very Hindu of me. People insult one another because they don't understand the culture. But if you as a human being with morals and values and respect, you will actually take the time to say, hey, maybe I should try to understand why that is the way that it is. Why does that look the way that it looks? And why do the rituals happen the way that they happen? There's meaning and belief, faith inside everything, in every culture. Well, as we talked a lot about the Kali Amma this evening, I'd like you to interact with us in studio today. Share with us your opinion, your belief, everything. Guys, stay where you are. We'll come back straight after this commercial break. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranamayyappa, Om Shakti, Parashakti. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are currently streaming live with us on Actonville TV. This is the Journey Show, the show about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera, Heeralal, and if you just joined the show, you are a little late. Naughty, naughty. Join us again tomorrow at 7 p.m. We go live every single weekday, Monday through to Friday at 7, guys. Alright, so as I told you, I'm going to keep the show a little bit vibey. It's going to be, like, you know, I know you're doing this because it's all like about educating you, right? Now, let's kick it back and listen to one of my favorite Durbanites. Siandam Shlava from Durban. He's doing a devotional cover of Tirunir Yani. Check him out.
திருநீர் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா வடிவேல் எந்தன் துணையே வேல் முருகா திருநீர் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா வடிவேல் எந்தன் துணையே வேல் முருகா வடிவேல் என்னை காக்கும் பிள்ளை அல்லவோ ஓம் முருகா ஓம் முருகா சரவண பவகுக வடிவேலா ஓம் முருகா ஓம் முருகா சரவண பவகுக வடிவேலா கண்கள் உன்னை தேடும் வடிவேலவா எந்தன் கண்ணீர் உந்தன் அபிஷேகம் வேல் முருகா கண்கள் உன்னை தேடும் வடிவேலவா எந்தன் கண்ணீர் உந்தன் அபிஷேகம் வேல் முருகா கண்கள் உன்னை தேடும் வடிவேலவா எந்தன் கண்ணீர் உந்தன் அபிஷேகம் வேல் முருகா கண்கள் உன்னை தேடும் வடிவேலவா எந்தன் கண்ணீர் உந்தன் அபிஷேகம் வேல் முருகா திருநீர் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா வடிவேல் எந்தன் துணையே வேல் முருகா வடிவேல் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா உந்தன் நாணம் என்னை நாளும் வேல் முருகா திருநீர் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா வடிவேல் எந்தன் துணையே வேல் முருகா திருநீர் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா வடிவேல் எந்தன் துணையே வேல் முருகா வடிவேல் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா உந்தன் நாணம் என்னை நாளும் வேல் முருகா வடிவேல் என்னை காக்கும் வடிவேலவா உந்தன் நாணம் என்னை நாளும் வேல் முருகா ஓம் முருகா ஓம் முருகா சரவண பவகுக வடிவேலா ஓம் முருகா ஓம் முருகா சரவண பவகுக வடிவேலா ஓம் சரவண பவகுக வடிவேலா ஓம் சரவண பவகுக வடிவேலா
Siangan Slava all the way in German, ladies and gentlemen, with Tirunir Yanni. Well, that was devotional cover done by him, and I'd like to give him another round of applause. What a voice, darling. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, for those of you who do, well, the very same thing, if you've got a good camera and you can capture yourself singing well, drop us a WhatsApp on 0746605829. You'll find our WhatsApp line right there on the bottom of the screen, at the bottom right of your screen. And you can compress your video, WhatsApp it to us, so you can ask us the process and we'll tell you. Alright, so as we're coming towards the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen, it's come to that time where we have to do the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukkural. Today we are covering number 18, and number 18 states, understand that cannibalism is evil and atrocious. This applies to primitive Agori cults whose followers are cannibals. That's your lesson today, ladies and gentlemen, from the 108 Principles of the Value System from the Tirukkural. I'd like to give a shout out and a big thanks to Palindran Munsami from Weinberg, all the way from Weinberg Street Temple in Benoni. A big shout out to you. Thank you so much for helping us understand the 108 Principles of the Value System of the Tirukkural. Thank you very much. For those of you who joined the show and interacted with us, thank you again to Dashni Manikam for helping us out and interacting with us in studio today. The interactions actually help as the numbers help us to do our seva, our God's work. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining the show. We'll do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. We are live every single weekday, Monday through to Friday, from 7 p.m. till 8. It's a 1-hour show. Interact with us live. I would appreciate that. It's actually more fun that way. It'll be fun and exciting. All right, from myself, Kimera, Heeralal, Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam Ayyappa. Good night.